All right, beautiful. So welcome everyone. We've got John Stewart here, the owner, the principal, and we'd like to call him the conductor of the Living School in Lismore. We've got Scotty and myself from the Business of Smiles. John, mate, thank you so much for your time tonight to jumping on and having a quick chat with us.
No, thank you, James. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. So we want to find out as a quick, like, where did just so we get some context, the Living School, the context around it, and where did that vision come from? Because we've known you from the Green School in Bali, and we obviously know your journey because the kids are at the Living School. But for those who don't know that journey, how has that journey been?
Oh, it's been an interesting one because I grew up in this area and I left, went overseas, and all of a sudden found myself Cambridge University, head of English, director of studies, writing multimedia textbooks and just really enjoying pedagogy. And then I kind of came back because I wasn't enjoying the weather. So I came back, and then I was a principal and a headmaster, and I wrote this book with a clinical psychologist called Dr. John Irvine. And while I was writing that book, I was just thinking, wow, there's so many things we have to think about in schools, and we're not really thinking about them. And then I listened to some of Ken Robinson's creativity, Schools Killing Creativity. And then I went to Tudor House, which was this school just based on risk. And it was great, boys, and it was a boys' school at the time. Just skateboarding and go-karts, billy carts and kites and all this. So I was thinking, that's fun. So can education be really rigorous from my background, but also have that element of fun and engagement? And then when I was looking around, I got headhunted to Green School, as you know, but I was looking at this idea of engagement, and all the statistics, they were saying that, 50%, more than 50% of students are disengaged. They don't actually like school. So I was thinking, well, there's more reason why schools got to start to make learning. And when I say fun, it's applied. It's about making it that aha moment. And so then I wanted to start my own school. And then I wrote this treatise, and then I kind of went to Green School, and then I came back wanting to start a school. And I was looking around Byron Bay because I thought that was a pretty similar place to Bali in a way. And it ended up being in my house, not in Byron, in Lismore, which we all now know has just been devastated by, the biggest flood in history, our history. So, yeah, but the school was based around 3 schools. So one is all about big ideas. So, can a child leave an education system knowing 6 big things? And that was their identity, who they are, how they feel, what their cognitive dissonance and bias is. Nature, understanding our connection with nature and the importance we have in custodianship. Then looking at life and living, philosophy. Do we teach kids the philosophy of learning and thinking? And then civilization, structures around how our society works. And then the second last one's phenomena, understanding big things around the phenomenon of this world where we don't even know it. We just theorize. And then the last one was service. So can you create a school where good people turn into doing good things? So that was the basis of it. And you had to have this academic rigor. So in the middle of it is this thread of English, math, science, the theories, and I don't see them as these cut and dry things. I see them as historical. So you can take these theories and if you learn them, you're actually pole vaulted ahead of others because you're benefiting from the historical knowledge people have learned. So it's not a dry thing. It should be a really engaging thing. And then the last one is applying it. Can you put it into a situation where all of a sudden it makes sense and you go, and there's all this learning out there that people don't tell you about that's actually aha moment learning, and that's what I really want to engage and develop in a school.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely amazing. So you've been going for a couple of years now, and your video which is on the website, mentioned you just things were moving forward, you're hitting your straps, and it was all systems go. And there was another building, another campus, the Brown and Jolly building that you're developing for the senior school students, and it was all systems go. Getting had the farm, and it was just it was all systems go. And February, March this year, everything came to a halt. Can you share with us what happened in that time?
Well, it's kind of absurd. You know, I see this humor in it, in its absurdity, but on the Saturday, I was writing my strategic plan for the next 3 years, where all these things were being threaded together, and it was this really amazing thing, because we'd grown over 2 years to 240 plus students, and we had students from K to 11. We just started our year 13 program, 3 years doing you know that. Anyway, I'm writing an email to the board to explain to them the strategy. And my wife, Sophie, you know, who knows, she's sitting there and she goes, John. I said, yeah, you just hold on. I just got to finish this sentence. She goes, no, John. I said, just wait. She goes, John, it's going to flood. And I just went, what? And that's when she said, look, there's a forewarning of a moderate to major flood. And I've been in Lismore all my life. I've been in major floods. So then I went, wow, okay. So we jumped in early, James. So we got all the teachers in on the Saturday, and it was still saying it's not going to be much water, and, you know, don't worry. You know, even had a counselor saying, oh, it's nothing. And so, but we went in and we lifted everything up. We moved everything up. And then I went back on Sunday because it was still raining and I could see it was pretty heavy rain. So we lifted everything up again. And then that evening, we thought we were safe. And I'm out to dinner. I get home at 10:30, and all of a sudden it's saying, oh, it's going to breach the levee bank at 6 a.m. in the morning, and you'll evacuate at 5. So at this stage, we've moved everything. I'm thinking, oh, there's some things under the house I should kind of get up as well. So I tried to drive up at 10:30 at night, and we couldn't get up because all the roads were blocked. So then we came back, and I was just saying to Sophie, I said, well, you know, it's all good. We've got everything up. And then in an hour, it went from 6 a.m. breaching to where evacuate now, it's going to breach at 1. So that's 4 hours difference from when the evacuation was. And then it said this is going to be bigger than, it was going to top the levee bank. Then it's going to be bigger than 74, which was the flood I was in when I was 7. Then it's going to be bigger than 54. And then it said it's going to be bigger than 1860. It's going to be the biggest flood ever. And by that stage, just going, what? And yeah, there's just nothing you can do because the roads are blocked. You can't get up there, and you're just watching the BOM as the weather forecast, the flood forecast is just going higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's still raining. And we got hit by the biggest flood in our history.
Wow. Scott.
And you couldn't get in for 2.5 days. So there's all these other things happening at the time. You know, I'm getting called through the WhatsApp saying, can someone get a boat to rescue my neighbor, or my cousins are stuck on their roof. We had parents who were stuck on the roof from 1 a.m. in the morning, and all the lights, all the power goes out. So all you could hear are people yelling for help as the water's coming up on the rooftops, you know, that. And in the water, you're seeing livestock go past. There are snakes coming up on the roof, in rodents. And, you know, this is what was being experienced. And I wasn't in that. I'm here, but my families are doing that. And then it's just this surreal experience where you just have to wait. So 2.5 days later, the water finally subsides where people could walk and have a look. And I finally got in. And the flood was 2.5 meters higher than 74, which meant it was through everything. It's a 2-story building, and, you know, it's flooding over the top of that. And we're in this valley that stretches for tens and tens of kilometers. And that water was that depth everywhere, you know, and all that water came out of the sky. That's the thing. It's just bizarre how much water there was. So, yeah, so the school was just totally, all areas were just under, and everything, you know, flood water, just everything was tossed over and turned, and, you know, all the things your resources you'd saved over 35 years, 40 years of teaching, and you're just walking through detritus. And it was just like, wow, this is bizarre. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm listening to that, John. I really appreciate it, especially the in-depth feel I can have as you're telling me the story of how it goes, and I can only imagine what trauma comes with that, and I can imagine what the kids have gone through and experiencing that. So
Yeah.
if it's okay, and I don't know if it's too early or not, but what are you looking at putting in place for those kids that have actually been through that? Getting them back to school, but there's going to be some management around that.
Yeah, there is. I think the first thing, Chris, was we did something really important, and that was we went back to school. So we reopened 5 days after this event. So 5 days, the flood hit on the Monday morning, and on the Friday we've got kids down at the farm, and then we've got them at a rugby field, and we've got people who are saying, well, how do these kids get through this? And it's just through the support of people around them. So we've put in support networks. We've got psychologists who can be linked in with any of the families. But yeah, they lost everything. Like, I'm talking about families where, they were being axed through the ceiling cavity and being fed up through the ceiling cavity because the water was now up to their waist. This water didn't come through like a nice gentle flood.
No.
It came through, and it just slowly kind of was in your backyard, and all of a sudden it's halfway up your lawn, and then it's at your doorstep, and then you're turning around to get your phone, and now it's at your ankles, and all of a sudden it's at your knees. So this is one of the families, and so all of a sudden they've just had to leave their house without anything, and this is on a hill. This is on part of the hill in Lismore, so it's something that had never flooded before. So the children of these experiences, it's about accommodation, it's about finding them care, it's about getting them clothes. Now, so many clothes come through in these disaster scenarios, but then we've also reached out to get their fees covered. We've reached out to get funding for replacements of everything they've lost. So yeah, that's what we're looking at, Chris. We're looking at a school community that's an independent school that's trying to support the community. And and these kids are incredible, and the family is incredible.
Well, it's one thing Shorty and I were actually talking about the other week about the importance of having the school community get back together, because getting back to school and back into doing not necessarily normality, but getting them involved with each other so they've got a safe place to talk to one another is so important for the family as well, because it gives the family the opportunity for the kids to be somewhere safe while they process what's actually going on in their life, because that time at school is so important for so many reasons. I mean, that's why I'm here with you to do what we're doing in Melbourne, because I understand that for you, and I can't wait to get behind you for that, because it's just so important. And a massive thank you from us in here in Melbourne to you for doing all your efforts and getting around your community too.
Look, what we're trying to do is get our school back. And my wife's always said, after this all happened, like all the buildings, everything was just inundated. And after that, my wife said, John, this is never about the buildings. She said, this has always been about the people. It's about the connections you form at schools. And so, that's what we're doing. We're going to come back stronger and more creatively. So some of the things we're doing are not just going to benefit us as a school, but we're doing things that are going to benefit the town, because the town needs confidence. Lismore needs the confidence that it's a city still. And I feel that kind of responsibility in a way, because they did it in 1954, they did it in 74. This is the biggest flood, but this is part of us having that moment when we've got to shine and we've got to do something. And this is that moment. So you don't get to choose them. I would have chosen something a little less. But in so saying that, you do get to choose how you behave, and you do get to choose how you attend to these things. And I think that's your moment when you step up. That's the integrity you carry.
John, what are you noticing with the community at the moment? Like, they've gone through just such devastation. But what we're noticing, what I'm noticing is yes, the Lismore community, but the outskirts of other local communities all coming together. What are you noticing in the communities and the conversations that you are having?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it goes through that grief cycle, James. So, you know, there was this real adrenaline rush where everyone just jumped in and was doing everything. And, you know, there was this sense of, you know, as I always said, every bit of rubbish people saw in the movies and the films and the, you know, the news shows and things like that, every bit of rubbish you saw piled up, I always went from the opinion, hey, listen, someone's put it there. You know, that's actually an indication of support. That's not an indication of devastation. That's an indication of community coming together. But then, you know, this is the other thing, Chris, then we get hit by another flood. Another flood hit us, you know, 4 weeks later. So before we even knew it, we're in the process again. More rain, water's rising. This time, you know, people are fearful as to what height is this going to get to. And that there was a kind of fear in that. And then there's a tiredness, James, that comes from that too. I see in the town, people just going, you know, it's still not cleaned up. And now it looks, there are only about 5 or 6 shops that are open in the whole of the CBD. Everything else is still empty, you know, and people are waiting for that confidence to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's go back. Let's get into this. And I think that's that's an interesting element for me, seeing that community feel, because I know it's kind of just been a little bit tired, and now it's about to go into the next phase again because people are coming back. So yeah, I think the other element, Chris, which is really important for us up here, is knowing that people still are doing things for us. There's still that support coming, because it's very quick. People jump in to give you what you need and say, how can I help? And there's this real interest in you. And then, you know, it lasts. This is gonna take years, like the bushfire victims would have felt. You know, and that's the absurdity of this country, where, you know, you have bushfires and you have major floods, you know, sunburnt country, flooding roads. So yeah, but for me, James, I think what you guys are looking at and doing is just incredible, because it's effort, it's endurance, and it's a commitment. And, you know, we're going to be able to show that to people. That's resilience. That's about us continuing to do things. And, you know, our community is strong, but it continually needs that little bit of an injection of just people saying, hey, come on, keep going.
Yeah, so true.
I love hearing that. And human spirit that's coming out right now. I mean, I'm sure that you'd be feeling things that are just bringing you closer to being a part of Lismore.
Yeah, look, I think the human spirit that's there, Chris, is the thing I took away. You know, it wasn't the agencies, it wasn't the big bureaucracies that came in and fixed this or helped resolve this. What happened was community came together in that moment. You know, we lost all cellular contacts, all communication went down as well. Or the other thing was all the diesel, the fuel couldn't get through because the highway was cut. So people are queuing for kilometers to get their tanks full. You know, then all of a sudden you've got to also remember there was no electricity, so there was no food coming through either. So it was really, really interesting experience. But through all of that, what came through were just, people are generously good. You know, people were just really helping each other and doing amazing things. Restaurants just serving food and going through all their resources themselves, because as I said, no resource coming in, and just saying, you know, yeah, no, this is good. We want to make sure everyone's safe. And the kids, the young guys, you know, the 20-year-olds down around the coast, just hitching up their boats and their jet skis on their trailers and heading up to Lismore and rescuing thousands of people. 6,000 people were homeless, you know, and that wasn't the SES, that was the community. And I think that's what we have to get back to understanding. You know, a community is strong through its unique ability to be a collective. You know, it's not about waiting for someone who sets legislation to do things for you. It's about stepping in and having a time to do things. And that was what I learned from this. I came away, honestly, I came away exhausted, but I came away so proud of humans.
I love hearing that. Like, we're living in an interesting time, and the human spirit is something that's all within us. And if we can dig down deep and actually grab a hold of that, we're going to be in a great place. As long as we go the journey with each other. Because as you said, like, it's now everyone's in, it's 2 years, 5 years. Where are we going to be at that point? We've got to make sure we're still around each other, and that human spirit stays within us, because then we're going to grow from something that has been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, the thing about this as well for me is, you know, it's a travesty. You know, it's a disaster. It's a natural or unnatural, some people are saying, disaster. You know, I just deal with it. It's now, so I have to deal with it. What's here, and it's here. So that's your human spirit. You know, and doing as good as you can, not just for you, but for others, because that's what makes us human. So, you know, that's what I really came to respect out of this disaster. You know, there's always, I have that kind of philosophy. It's a bit weird, but you know, if your worst experience is your best teacher, then there's so much learning. You can't shy away from it. You got to go, wow, I'm going to really develop from this. And that's what we're going to do.
I love it, because these t-shirts, that's a smile emerging from the darkness.
Yeah, beautiful.
Human spirit, yeah. And I just love how that's coming through. I just got a quick question for you, if that's all right. And I'm just a little bit conscious.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's your heart?
My heart's strong. Did you say my heart? My heart is big, and my heart is so excited. I've got, I've just got heaps of big ideas. I guess I'm not really feeling just the heart. I'm feeling also what's to come and the vision and what we can do. So yeah, it's just the Duracell battery.
Oh, I love it, right? Because the problem's not the problem. It's how you respond to that problem that either creates
Absolutely.
opportunity. And if you can get through all three, that's when true growth comes. So I'm adoring listening to you and the way in which you love your community. But more importantly, that they've got you in it to give them a future vision, because that's what's needed. Thank you for doing what.
And Chris, we couldn't do it without people, you know, wanting to help. You know, that's the thing. Like, you know, the other side of this is this was the biggest historic flood in this area. This was not a little one. And people are saying, oh, you know, Lismore should move out and all these different solutions. But Lismore's just one city on a river. And this whole nation is built around the transport routes of the rivers. And that's our historical connection as well. We've got a legacy, and we've been given a legacy, and we've got to pass on that legacy. You know, you can't just say, oh, you know, what happened under there? Oh, you know, we got rid of that. We've got to find solutions, and we've got to use these moments to actually give us a kick up the bum to tell us there are things that we've got to start focusing on to fix. And our generation has to really start pulling that together to pass the baton on for a most impressive next generation, because I've seen them. What's coming up is amazing.
As a dad with a kid that I just adore, I just love hearing that, because I truly believe Shorty's in the same boat. We love how our kids teach us. You get the best of that.
Yeah, no, it is. That's why I love teaching.
So, John, really appreciate
or learning.
Really appreciate jumping on tonight and having a few words with us. So, in a couple of weeks, we're hitting the pavement and doing the 4x4x48 challenge to help raise some funds for you guys and to really help to continue to rebuild the school. But from our hearts to your heart, really appreciate everything that you're doing for the kids, for the communities, for the parents, for Lismore, for the next generation. Thank you so much for being that lighthouse, that guiding light, that conductor on so many different levels. We really appreciate it.
No, thanks, James. And yeah, look, it's mutual. I think for you guys to do what you're doing for us is incredible. And, I just feel humbled by, the amazing support and the generosity of spirit from people. So yeah, I'm humbled, but I'm doing it for the right reason, because I got a big mission to improve some kids for the future.
Amazing.
What a great thing to be chasing, future.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Really appreciate it.
No, lovely to talk to you guys. Chris, I haven't met you in person.
Yeah, and so I'll let you know now. It's Scott.
I don't say Chris all the way through.
Doesn't you know what? I really don't care. I've been called a lot worse for a lot longer. But I just
Oh no, that's great.
No, because when we're in conversation, I'm never going to break that up because we're too busy in the moment.
No, well, I tell you, embarrassment's the best teacher for names. Scott.
Yeah. Well, you just did half an hour of about 30 to 40 times of Chris, but that's all right.
I know.
So I want to catch up with you at some point, John, because I want to learn more about you, because you may be the very reason I move up there soon, because I've got a son who's beautiful kid, and I need somewhere special to put him. So, but I will speak at some point.
I hope, yeah, Scott. Well, I hope you do come up, mate.
Yeah, beautiful. But thank you, John.
I'll share some plans. I'm about to share some plans with people. It's pretty cool. We're going to do some big things to improve the town.
Hey, I'm a handy tradie too, so I can definitely come up there. So.
Yeah. Well, James knows my brain. So yeah, look, but
Amazing.
yeah, I'm sorry it's taken a little bit of time to get in touch with you guys, but it is pretty full on, James.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can imagine.
Fine.
So on that note, I'm going to go pick up my son.
Yeah.
So John, thank you for your time. And when I come up, I'm going to make sure I come knock on your door and say good day.
No, I'd love to. I'd love to meet you, mate. Thanks so much, Scott.